Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm really excited about today's lecture. To me, this is a lecture that has been waiting for years to be given, and it has been something that has been awaiting upon the awakening of a sufficient amount of humanity to where it could then come forth as it is today. Embracing ego. The mere thought of it a few years ago would have driven me crazy. And I can understand it if you and yourself are wondering, embracing ego? But let's look at it insofar as its historical considerations. Now, we all know that when we came into this life, we knew we were going to forget who we were, and that what would happen would be that ego, in the early stages of our development and growth, the early years of our life, would learn experientially. In other words, it would learn off of what others would generate, what others would demonstrate, what others would live, as to then how it was going to relate in life. So it got all of this programming that it learned so that we would then be given a chance to survive in an environment that was peopled by many, many others with different frames of reference, with different insecurities, with different demands, and on and on and on. So we might could say that ego really is a third-dimensional tool. It's for an identity, and it's also for protection. Its design is to give us an identification, and then to protect us as best it can, to assure us the opportunity to then, when we gain enough maturity, to then start making choices on our own. Okay, do we need a timeout here? Because see, we're coming to the crux of it, and that is where we were supposed to wake up, and in waking up, to start making conscious choices for our lives. But somewhere along the way, and this also has some historical energy to it, there were inserts implanted that actually interfered with the ego's capacity to learn new things. It got stuck in the old patterns. Now, these old patterns are fear patterns. As any of us know, when something comes up that seems to be threatening, we will go into an automatic fear mode. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best choice to make. Because if you start paying attention, you're going to discover that many of the fears you experience are things that never ever happen. So there's not really, can't say that these are reality-based. So, now, ego is not who you are. Ego is not who I am. But if we're sufficiently unconscious, we believe we are the thoughts that we think and the feelings that we feel. How can you be a thought? How can you be a feeling? It requires you paying attention and becoming sufficiently present to realize that thoughts are things that occur all the time, and feelings can match them or can seem to be independent of them. If we look again, we see that ego is a mask of approval, and it wants to be in control, and it is driven by fear. But stop now and look at this and see a lot of this is part of old pattern programming. So then we get to a place where you might could say it is a trigger experience in your life. Now, you knew it was going to happen, but you forgot. Because when you come into this life, it is only as you actually reach certain places that then you can experience the trigger, and when it happens, a part of you starts waking up. So when you start waking up, whatever that trigger experience is for you, then you come to a place of realizing, I want to grow. I want to be more than what I'm experiencing right now. I want to get out of this seeming repeating pattern that over and over and over again keeps me locked into certain feelings of uncertainty, insecurity, and fear-driven. There's a part of you that starts waking up and saying, there's more to me than this. Well, when you start feeling this, one of the first things that it's going to do is it's going to trigger ego to say, whoa, wait a minute. This means I no longer get to be. This means I no longer get to experience the power that I feel in my life by controlling you in all things that I can. And again, when you're experiencing this, it's pretty hard to have sufficient conscious awareness to not feel threatened or intimidated by your own ego. So, here we are at this time of awakening and ascension, and we get a lot of feedback from different perspectives of people that say, all right, here we have it. What are we going to do? Do we need to get rid of it? Do we need to tame it? Do we need to love it? And from whatever perspective that's being shown to another, that seems totally ridiculous. Now, maybe getting rid of it would have an overall appeal, but you see, that isn't the way it works. We're in this together, at least for this incarnation. So instead of trying to get rid of it, and instead of resorting to embattling techniques of trying to tame it, perhaps one of the things we should do is get to the place of appreciating it for what it is and what it has actually done for us. You see, it has made it possible for us to be here now with the opportunity to then step into the driver's seat, sit down behind the wheel, and start steering our own course in life. But that doesn't mean that we get rid of ego. We embrace ego. And one of the best ways to embrace ego is to say, thank you. Thank you for making all of this possible. I sincerely mean that. From the depth of my being, I am growing in a sense of appreciation for you who have made all of this possible. And I want you to know it. And I want you to know that I really do love you. Maybe my measure of love right now is small compared to what it can be. But here's something else that I've learned in my awakening, and that is this other part of me that I want to become more and more of is a part of me that unconditionally loves. And I know it unconditionally loves me. It unconditionally loves you. It unconditionally loves. So let yourself become filled with this conditional love that I have, that I'm growing in, and this unconditional love that I am growing into. So that together we can go on in this and actually experience the ascension that we came here to experience in this lifetime. You understand why I'm so excited about this?
Yes.
I mean, this is the promise that all of us have looked for. We, in the beginning, of course, looked outside of ourselves for fulfillment. We thought that maybe it would be the person, the circumstance, the situation, maybe more money, maybe whatever that was going to give us that sense of being fulfilled, only to then have the dawning realization, what I really need to do, what I'm really looking for, and what I really want is my own love. I want to love myself, and I want to feel loved. Well, I really is we, because you see, you are a multi-dimensional being just as I am. For me to claim I, in a sense, is to discredit all the other parts of my multidimensionality. To just say they don't exist, and to try to fit them all into one. Right now, it seems much more comfortable to me to say we. So that when I, in myself, find myself saying I immediately begin to consider, all right, ego, I'm speaking this of you, I'm speaking this of me, I'm speaking this of we. So that we feel together. And in this, I find a much greater togetherness in myself, even if I have to be putting forth that conscious effort to remind myself of it, and to also at the same time let ego know that I am sincere, that I mean this. Because you see, it requires cooperation for us to go on and explore the higher aspects of ourselves. We need to work together, meaning I and ego need to work together in order for us to then come to a place where we do step behind and sit down, take a hold of the wheel, and at the same time feel the attending, agreeing presence of ego who says, yes, let's do this. One of the things that I found out that is so valuable in this is I never have taken the time, nor really saw the import of taking the time to let my ego know I loved it. That was the one thing that it needed the most, that I was giving it the least. I would give it hell. I would tell it it was doing it wrong. But at the same time, that didn't really solve the situation. That's much like taking into account our tendency as a race to resort to war and conflict for the intention of peace. How in the hell could that ever happen? It never will happen. And the same is true within us, with us. So I'm bringing these things to your attention to help you to see embracing ego is an absolute necessity if we are going to go on in our ascension. And if we are going to then, in our ascension, find that others are likewise waking up and doing the same thing, so the result is we change the whole complexity of humanity and living on planet Earth. We do start living peace. We do start living love. And where it has to begin is right there in us, with us, bringing us and the ego together. Now, if you've gotten this far, then you know there are certain things that still will come up. And these are the old pattern programs that ego was given to get you, me, to the place where we are right now. If we look at these patterns, we can begin to start recognizing them and how they affect us. Stop being offended. All wrong. Stop being offended. Don't take it personally. I mean, after all, you're talking about someone else's opinion, right? If you take it personally, then what you're doing is you're identifying with something that someone else is sending to you that has nothing to do with you whatsoever. Let go of the need to win. We have been so programmed to compete. And to compete means you have to win, which means you have to defeat the other. We never get to the place to where we see, all right, there are games that you can play, but if you're playing with the object of winning, then you're missing the point, and that is how you play the game, not whether you win or you lose. Okay. You're wrong. I'm right. Or was that too subtle? You're always having the need to be right. And the reason is because you're listening to that old programming that ego learned, and that is the fear of rejection by another. The need to be superior, doesn't that have a similar feel to it? But if you never get to the place of realizing that's a program that we can change by, one, being aware of and having intentional approaches to it. In other words, everybody's on the same path, but it's their path. And if their path doesn't seem to match like your path is in the moment, your tendency is to judge it, failing to realize that all of these paths are converging to one. Can't do it without them. They can't do it without you. Now here's the one that I think has been manipulated the greatest by those who wish to keep us in control, and that is the need to have more. More. Ego-driven materialism is definitely the downfall of humanity, and is fueled by those who wish to keep us indebted as slaves to an economic system. Wake up to that. It's a nice thing to experience not having all you want, because it helps you to realize how little you really need in order to live life successfully. So that's just one of the ways that we can in ourselves begin to shape-shift out of this dependency and enter into a place of inner harmony. So another thing too is, if you can, stop identifying with your own achievements. I mean, there's no college degree, there's no job title, there's no social status or award that is going to serve you in your ascension. I know that's shocking. I know. I used to carry a scroll with all of my accomplishments to precede me. Okay, so in this, what we're doing is we're really sizing down to where we get to a manageable place. So, in conclusion of this, of embracing it, embrace it with positivity. Thank it. Praise it. Value it. Love it. Let your ego know that you are really for it and you are so deeply appreciative for who it is and what it is helping you to accomplish. Because you see, it is going to be there right with you in your ascension, in your awakening, and it too is going to benefit from it by all that you choose to generate of positivity, because that is what it truly thrives off of. Thank you very much for your attention.
For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.